Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Tuesday. This is Game Day Live, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio studios in beautiful New Jersey and Chicago, Illinois, as the Devils take on the Carolina Hurricanes at PNC Bank Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina, also known as South Jersey. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Vinnie, Parise of PucksandPitchforks.com, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. As Mike Rossi on the Facebook Live is, well, he's live at PNC Bank Arena supporting your New Jersey Devils. Zach Addison supporting our New Jersey Devils and the Let's Go Devils podcast. Thank you for the super chat. Vinnie, how are you, my friend? I'm fired up for this road trip.
I'm doing very good, Sam. So the road trip. Devils have the best home record in the National Hockey, or road record, in the National Hockey League. They have I think they're tied with the Bruins for the best goal differential on the road in the National Hockey League on the road. When you're in the same breath as the Bruins this season for anything, you're feeling pretty good about it. You have one of the best teams in the Metropolitan Division, the Carolina Hurricanes, on the other side tonight. It's a huge road test for the Devils. Then you're running to California, and you're going to play two out of those three teams are relatively weak. The Devils should beat no problem, and the Los Angeles Kings are on an absolute heater lately. So it's a hefty road trip here coming up that's going to test the prowess of the Devils on the road. But I honestly think it's a great time for this team to take that game they had against the New York Rangers on Saturday, where they were down 3-1 in the third period, and come all the way back. That little bad boy, Jack Hughes, was an absolute menace. He got support from guys like Jesper Bratt and Nico Hischier, who were brilliant in their own right, and they got the win in overtime over their rival at home. The losing streak at home is over. It's all in the past. That tough little stretch there, put it behind you. Now you have a road trip ahead where you've been so solid all season long. It starts with a great test in the Carolina Hurricanes. I believe the Kings are Friday, so you get the hard California game out of the way early. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes, and then Anaheim and then San Jose. But I'm just saying, Sam, it's an important stretch here coming up, but it's one where the Devils have the ability to take advantage. They're in a much different spot than we were on January 10th of last season.
Last year, around this time, Dougie Hamilton was getting hit with pucks. Jack Hughes was doing pretty well, but the Devils were slumping. It was a downward spiral that they couldn't stop. They've stopped the downward spiral, that 6-game winless streak. Now the Devils look to put some games together, being the road warriors they are. I believe their record is 14-2-1. Am I correct on that? It's about that.
You are correct.
Yeah, it's about that. And they're embarking on a 5-game road trip, starting with the Carolina Hurricanes, going out to where Scotty, SiriusXM Liquid Metals area, L.A., you can find Scotty on Devils After Dark after the game. And you got L.A., you've got Anaheim, you've got San Jose, and somewhere in the mix there's somebody else. I keep on forgetting.
Is it Colorado? Or the
I don't
Blues?
know.
One of those Midwest teams.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. We're going to beat them anyway. Doesn't matter. And that's what the Devils are going to do. That's what I think. So you got Carolina, you've got L.A., you've got Anaheim, you've got San Jose, and
The Kraken.
The Kraken, okay. The Kraken.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on where we were this time last year. It wasn't until the All-Star break that we started feeling a little bit better about Hischier. I mean, like, even he was struggling up to a point last season in the first half, and then the whole team, just around the All-Star break last year, turned the corner offensively. They were getting some poor goaltending. The defense wasn't what it needs to be in order to be a winning NHL team, but there were signs of life for the first time in a long time, and that has carried all the way over into this year. And now that little guy, Jack Hughes, is probably a top 10 player in the NHL. And I honestly, I was curious if we were ever going to get to top 10 because I think if the season were to end tomorrow, he'd be nominated for the Hart Trophy along with Connor McDavid. And McDavid would win, but I think he'd be nominated for the Hart Trophy. And Heischer's right in the mix for the Selke Trophy. You have all the mix of things you need in order to win big in the NHL. I still think their depth will be tested once the playoffs come around or down the stretch if they should fall just short of the playoffs. Like that's what will be tested with this team right now. But with some of the reinforcements they have on the way and a couple more drafts and free agency and continuing to build, Hughes and Hischier and Bratt somehow getting better, as odd as that sounds. This is a bright future, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Listen, tonight's a big game against Carolina. You can close the gap for first place to 1 point, or no, excuse me, 2 points if you win in regulation. Who would have thought that, okay, the Devils are going to win 13 in a row, and they're barely going to gain any ground on Carolina. And then they're going to lose 6 in a row. But the Carolina Hurricanes are going to win 10 in a row, and the Devils are still going to barely lose ground on Carolina. It's just one of those things where, like, this Metropolitan division is so tight at the top, and, yeah, it's nice. The Devils do have an 8-point cushion on a playoff spot right now. They got to keep winning some of these games and collecting points if you're going to lose one here and there. But, you know, a game with the Hurricanes, go out there tonight. Do what you can to at least get 1 point, get it to overtime, go to a shootout, take your chances there. But if you can win in regulation, you're in a good spot going into this California road trip.
Oh, I'm just reading the chat on the Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Max is saying that Amanda Stein isn't on this trip, so no insider line alerts. Is that true? She didn't make the trip?
He is correct. That is correct. I was just on her Twitter page and realized I wasn't going to get anything out of it because she's not there. And she directs you towards the Devils Twitter page for any updates, which, of course, it's her job to direct you towards the Devils page for updates. And then you go to the Devils page for updates, and there are no updates. So you got to look around for, you know, information on what's going on from other sources. Obviously, you have some inside team reporters and stuff.
Let's go to our sources on the ground. This is going to be a little audience of participation. Okay, we know that Mike Rossi's sitting here live at PNC. Those are at the game that are actually watching this podcast right now. Let us know who's out on the ice. Okay, so we have no local coverage from MSG Networks. We're relying on ESPN Plus. No Amanda Stein. We're going to have to rely on you, the fans, to let us know what is going on. And, so Mike Rossi, let us know if they're warming up right now, and we will break it to you. And there's no way for us to verify, so we're going to have to trust people, what they're telling us.
Earlier today, Lindy Ruff did announce that Miles Wood was probably going to play, and Miles Wood kind of confirmed it. I don't know if you saw yesterday, he hurt himself pretty bad in practice. Had nothing to do with their game against the New York Rangers. It was strictly a non-contact issue during the practice that went on yesterday. I do believe he is going to play. I have heard that he will play tonight. If one of the people at the game, Rossi, whoever it is that's also there with him at the game, let us know if you see him on the ice. But I have a feeling you do because it was said today that he will be there.
Okay, well, that's good because the Beefalytics line, has been banged up. Bastian and John Marino, Nathan Bastian, John Marino, are traveling with the team, which I think is good. 5-game road trip, always a positive thing. Even though you're sitting upstairs in the press box or in the suites, supporting your boys out there, I think it's a good thing. But they'll probably, and I'm speculating here. I think everything is going to be just fine right after All-Star break. I think the Devils are going to be just fine. They got February, by the way. And, looking at February, I know we're going off a little topic here, Vinnie, but this podcast, the Let's Go Devils podcast, is about to hit 500,000 downloads. 500,000.
That's incredible. And that speaks to the hard work of you and all the people that help make it what it is because, wow, that's a lot of downloads.
Yeah, and I will say something that we may have to have a 500,000 party and fly some of you guys in on that February 25th Devils versus Flyers Saturday night game at American Whiskey. That could be that's going to be a great game just because it's a rival. It's going to be a great game because it's going to be a Saturday night. But I think we should really fly. I think our fans should fly in. The ones that are out of state, out of country, wherever you are. We'll keep you posted on that because in the group text with the Sunday crew, Short Sky, Scotty, and I and crew, we were inside joke there. That we were talking about a 500,000 party. Like if it's a 7 p.m. start, I think we should start at 1 p.m.
That does sound fun. There's no doubt about that.
And what's happening at American Whiskey, because American Whiskey is like really grown on the fans, that seeing the amount of fans that were actually at the bar during the Devils Rangers game was a lot of fun too. So I think a 500,000 parties in the work. Zach Addison, Dave Singer, oh my goodness. Saying that Nolan Foote called up, got some grade A Angus Utica beef shipped in. What are your thoughts?
Nolan Foote is an interesting person when it comes to the Devils. He has a lot of skill, good shot. We'll see if he's able to translate it to the NHL. He did a little bit towards the end of last year, but there were a lot of guys who kind of succeeded at the end of last year when there was no tape on them. It's low-pressure hockey. They're not working for a playoff spot or anything like that. It's just one of those things where now the team is a little bit different. Playing for this team right now is a lot different than it was playing for the Devils last March or last April when, Nolan Foote was up there making an impact. Ahotuk was one of their best defensemen at the end of the season last year. You obviously know the difference between playing right now on this team. The Devils right now are just one of the good teams in the Metropolitan Division. They're not heads over heels better than anybody in the division, in my opinion, except for like the Flyers and the Blue Jackets, right? Like you play them, you expect to win. Like everyone in the division's head over heels better than those two. But from the Hurricanes, Devils, Capitals, Rangers, Penguins, Islanders, any one of those teams is going to miss the postseason. And because I kind of think the Atlantic's locked up, it's going to be Boston, Toronto, Tampa Bay. I don't think they're putting a fourth team in because Florida, Buffalo, maybe if they really get hot. But I do believe the Metropolitan Division is going to end up throwing 5 teams into the playoffs. And that means one of those 6 is going to be out. And it's going to be a good team. It's going to be a team that could win a round if they got like the right matchup. And the Devils just got to fight tooth and nail to be one of those teams. You project down the line with guys like Nolan Foote or whoever it might be. Obviously, we know the guys leading the way. I could see this Devils team owning the division, right? When Jack Hughes is 27 years old and Heischer's 29, and they're 2 of the 10 best centers in the division, I'm thinking to they're 2 of the 10 best centers in the division right now. So imagine if they get better. I'm thinking to myself, they can win the Metropolitan Division 5 years in a row, right? Like there's nothing that could stop them as long as they play their cards right. Carolina is a great team. They have, really good goaltending and outstanding defense, good forwards. With Svechnikov having like a down year by his standards and Martin Necas is the one leading their team, they don't have like that game-breaking super duper star that Eric Stahl was for them all those years ago, like Jack Hughes is for the Devils right now. Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, and Jesper Bratt would all probably be their best player if they were traded for cash to Carolina right now. And that doesn't mean they're a better team. Carolina has far better depth than the Devils. But the Rangers have Panarin and Zibanejad. Those are game-breaking forwards, right? Washington has Ovechkin, who scores every other game. Pittsburgh has Crosby and Malkin. Even the Islanders with Barzal. Barzal doesn't score a crap ton of goals, but he's got enough assists to keep him in the NHL scoring lead race a lot of the time. And so, that's like a game-breaking playmaker right there. I'd like to see him shoot it a little more. Even Buffalo, they got like a Tage Thompson scoring 1,000 goals. It's just the Carolina Hurricanes, they're just so maniacal with the way they play you, and they're hard to play against. And hopefully a guy like Nolan Foote with the Angus beef that he's bringing in, as mentioned in the chat, hopefully that's something that helps the Devils overcome a team like that because they're much younger and much less experienced than them.
My concern with Foote is his speed, his foot speed, his skate speed a little bit. But you know what? The Beefalytics, yeah. All right, so intern Rob, good friend of the podcast, our intern Rob is actually at PNC Bank right now, going to report to us who's out on the ice when they start warming up. They have not warmed up yet. They haven't been out on the ice yet. Just to let you know.
They haven't been out on the ice yet?
I don't think so.
10 minutes before the start of the game?
Maybe they have. Maybe I'm just showing you a picture from intern Rob currently going on right now. Unless they've already warmed up. Unless they've already warmed up. Maybe I got that one wrong.
Maybe Carolina, are they honoring someone where there's like a ceremony first or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Huh.
We'll see what he says. Hold on.
That's interesting.
I'm texting him right now. Keep going, Vinny. I just want to get some information.
Yeah, so, these warm-ups are going to say a lot, though. Whenever it is they do it, they...
Okay, Vanacek looks to be starting, by the way, according to intern Rob.
Okay.
All right, so you got that.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
I appreciate that. Vanacek has been on an absolute heater so far this season, and once they do the line rushes, if Miles Wood is playing, where is he going to play? I know there were some shakeups on the line during practice earlier in the week. I think it was yesterday, before they left. Jack Hughes was playing with Yegor Sharangovich and Dawson Mercer, so Eric Halla was playing center. And I think if you run Hischier, Hughes, Halla as your 1-2-3 punch, you're going to have a better chance getting the most out of those guys. I like Bratt with Hischier. Bratt is offensively gifted shooter, and Hischier is too, but I think you could get more out of Nico if you put the better winger with him. Jack Hughes, you have him with Halla, who's not having a good year at all, and he's still on pace for 100 points. Like, Jack Hughes could make a mountain out of a molehill, where Nico Hischier, I think you probably would rather have a more offensive-minded winger along with him. Like, everybody's like, oh, can you imagine if the Devils traded for Timo Meier or Patrick Kane or something like that? Can you imagine the magic they would make with Jack Hughes? I'm like, I'd put him with Hischier.
Yeah.
Jack Hughes could play with me and you, Sam, and he'd have 100 points. Hischier is more defensive-minded. He, makes a good first
pass. All
right,
I got the lines. Breaking in right now via Sam Kassan. I'm seeing Catherine Bogart. Sorry to interrupt you. First line, Hischier, Palat, Bratt. Second line, Hughes, Tatar, Halla. Third line, McLeod, Mercer, and Wood. And the fourth line, Boquist, Sharangovich, Zetterlund. Rounding up the defense, Hamilton and Siegenthaler. Second pairing, Severson and Graves. Third pairing, Smith and Ahoytuk. Starting in net, Vitek Vanacek.
So all that for nothing yesterday with that sick line with Sharangovich and Mercer on Hughes' wing. Very, very interesting. Maybe that was just because Miles Wood was out?
Yeah. With Nolan Foote, probably it's just a precautionary measure. According to Lindy Ruff, got that through somebody, I think it was Max in the YouTube Live. Also, intern Rob is reporting that, remember all the talk about the Ranger fans trying to take over the Prudential Center, trying to get revenge on that Game 1 at Madison Square Garden. He said a good representation from the Devils fans contingency. He's rocking his Hischier retro for a change of pace. Hopefully help them win. So intern Rob on the ground right now at PNC Bank Arena giving us the scoop. And you know what? As I said, Raleigh, North Carolina is South Jersey. Okay? It's nothing like North Carolina. It's really South Jersey. You go outside of it,
Yeah, interesting. I've never been to that part of the country, though. The closest I've been was Atlanta.
Yeah. Shorts guy is texting. Yeah, it's a 7 p.m. start. I never know nowadays. Yeah, it's a 7 p.m. start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, again, I probably misspoke a little bit earlier when intern Rob and I were texting on live air, and it happens. It happens, but we got the lines out for you folks as quickly as possible via Sam Kassan. I figured Amanda Stein would point people to Sam Kassan and Catherine Bogart, who are on top of it, not the Devil's website or the Devil's Twitter page. That doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was strange.
Yeah. Maybe there's a rivalry there. Are we cooking up some controversy? Anyway. All right, predictions.
Maybe.
Predictions. This is going to be a big game, folks. On ESPN Plus, which I'm not happy about, but you got Matt and Chico on Devils Hockey Network. I want to hear your predictions. Vinnie, why don't you start?
When you were saying on ESPN Plus, I was like, every game's on ESPN Plus for me. I see what you mean now. Literally, it's an ESPN Plus exclusive broadcast with like no Bill Spalding and Ken Danico tonight.
Yeah,
I understand what you mean now. I was like, being out of market, every game's on ESPN Plus for me. But my prediction is I think the Devils are going to finally be able to get a road win against the Hurricanes that we've seen the Hurricanes dominate for a long time in this division. Now they were in the conference finals a couple years ago. They lost to none other than the Bruins. It was 2019. They've made some deep playoff runs over the last couple years. And I think this is a game where the Devils can kind of show everyone, hey, we're back. That game against the New York Rangers was big for us. I think they take the game today 4-3.
Wow. We got Max saying 4-2 NJD. Dave Singer, 5-2 Devs. Palat scores. Dennis, 6-5 OT. Zach says 4-3 Devils. Yegor gets the fourth goal. I'm saying 5-1 Devils.
Wow.
I think they're going to come at the Road Warriors that they are. I think they're hungry. And I think they're going to win. 4-3 Devils, Steve Engel says.
I'm just tired of them going down 1-0 early. They've won a lot of the games where that's happened, but score first. Or at least if you're going to go down 1-0, play good hockey for the first 10 minutes at least. It just seems like within the first 5 minutes they're down 1-0 every game lately. Let's reverse that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely should. Also, there's a piece on ESPN.com, Emily Kaplan. Go read that. I heard it was a good piece. Dave Singer says, hat-trick Hughes. The pod instantly hits 1 million downloads. Hey, that's enthusiasm there. I like that. Oh, my goodness, 2-0 Devs. Everyone's predicting. Anyway, we'll see you Devils After Dark with Scotty and I. Scotty of SiriusXM. Liquid Metal and I will recap the game that was. Devils Carolina. Thank you all those listening, chiming in. Zach Addison, thank you for the super chat. Super chat is where it's at, super sticker. And we'll see you a little bit later after the game. Thank you. Till next time, let's go Devils.